Let me ask you something. If I gave you $1 million right now to start a business, do you think you'd succeed? Most people would say yes. But here's the brutal truth. 95% of all businesses fail. That's not a guess. It's not a scare tactic. It's cold, hard reality. So what's happening to those millions of dreamers? People like you with big ideas, passion, drive, they start something, and then boom, gone, dead in 18 months. Why? What's taking them down? 2. Find out I went down a rabbit hole. And what I discovered shocked me. It started with a guy named Marco Young. Smart, full of energy. He quit his job to start a coffee brand. He had the logo, the packaging, the website, even a social media plan. He invested $40,000 of his savings. First month, he made $400. Second month, $200. Third month, $0. He burned through everything. And in less than 6 months, he was back applying for jobs. Dream crushed. And what's crazy? He did almost everything right except for one tiny thing. He built a product before he built demand. That mistake? It's the #1 reason most businesses fail. People fall in love with their idea instead of the problem they're solving. Create something nobody was asking for and expect people to line up, but no one does. That's what happened to a girl named Lisa, too. She launched a tech startup, Smart Home Gadgets. Cool idea, great prototype, but no market research. She assumed people wanted this, but the truth? People were confused. They didn't understand why they needed it. By the time she realized it, it was too late. She owed $80,000 to investors. She vanished from social media and her website. And offline. Forever. But here's where it gets insane. I started reaching out to the 1%, the businesses that didn't fail. And what I discovered? They do things completely differently. Not slightly, not kinda, completely. Let me tell you about one of them. There's a guy named Daniel. He launched an e-commerce store selling one single product, custom phone cases. No fancy branding, no deep mission, just something people already wanted. But here's what he did differently. He didn't build the store first. He made a TikTok of a prototype, filmed it on his kitchen table. No ad spend, no editing. The video went viral. He got 80,000 views overnight and hundreds of DMs, saying, "Where can I buy this?" Only then, he built the store. Day 1, $3,000 in sales. Day 2, $6,000. A year later, $1.2 million in revenue. Why? Because he validated the demand before he spent a dime on the infrastructure. That's what the 1% does. They don't guess, they test. They don't fall in love with their product, they fall in love with the problem. That changes everything. I talked to a millionaire gym owner who started with no gym at all. He made free YouTube videos helping people lose weight with no equipment. His videos blew up, built a community. Then he launched a membership site. Only after that did he open his physical gym, already packed with paying customers from day 1. Meanwhile, another guy down the street spent $500,000. Was opening a gym with all the latest machines and closed 6 months later because no one showed up? Why? He had no audience, no demand, just vibes. This pattern repeats itself everywhere. Restaurants, apps, clothing brands, agencies. Everyone's rushing to build without ever stopping to ask, do people actually want this? And here's the sick twist. Most of the failed entrepreneurs didn't run out of money. They ran out of momentum. They lost belief. They stopped too soon. Not because they were wrong, because they didn't start right. But it gets worse. Some businesses actually succeed at first and still die later because they never learn how to scale. One bakery owner I spoke to made $20,000 a month selling cookies. Amazing, right? But then came the problem. Demand exploded. Orders tripled. She couldn't keep up. Her website crashed. She had no team. She tried to do everything herself. She broke down. Refunds flooded in. And in 6 weeks, she shut it down. Success killed her business because she never thought past launch. She didn't build systems. She didn't plan for growth. She thought her problem would be no orders, not too many. So if 95% of businesses are dying, and even success can be dangerous, how is anyone winning? Simple. The 1% treat business like a machine, not an art project, not a gamble. Machine. They know how every gear works, know how to test ideas cheaply. They focus on audience, systems, automation, leverage. They build businesses like engineers, not artists. And that mindset shift, it's the cheat code. Because the truth is, ideas don't win. Execution does. The most successful founder I interviewed told me he tested 42 product ideas before finding one that worked. 42 failures. No crying, no quitting, just testing, learning, repeating. That's how winners think. Let me tell you about one guy I met, James. He was the definition of obsessed. Not with making money, but with understanding why people buy. He didn't just launch a product. He stalked Reddit forums, Facebook groups, YouTube comment sections for months, studying what frustrated people, what they searched for, what they complained about. And then he built a product that solved one of those pain points perfectly. A tiny problem for a tiny niche. But that little win turned into $1 million brand in under a year. All because he did the one thing 95% of business owners never do. He listened before he launched. That's how the 1% wins. They don't start with branding. They start with pain. But here's where it gets crazier. Because there's one more layer to this. It's not just how the 1% builds businesses. It's also how they think. They see failure completely differently. When you ask someone in the 95%, why didn't your business work? They'll say things like, I didn't have the money. I didn't have time. The market was too crowded. The algorithm changed. But when you ask someone in the 1% the same question, they say, I didn't test enough. I picked the wrong offer. My messaging wasn't clear. I didn't solve a real problem. See the difference? One blames outside forces. The other takes full ownership. That mindset, that willingness to eat dirt, fail fast, and learn faster is everything. I met a 19-year-old who failed his first 2 startups and didn't even flinch. He told me, each one bought me a lesson I couldn't have paid for in college. Now he's running a software company with over 300,000 users, all because he never stopped learning. But let's get real. Mindset is just the beginning. The 1% also operate with completely different tactics. Let me show you what I mean. Most failed businesses are one-dimensional. They have one product, one income stream, one fragile system, one ad that works, one freelancer doing everything. But the 1%, they build moats. Systems that protect them from chaos. A girl I met runs a content agency. She used to rely on cold emails to get clients. But when her email tool got shut down, she lost everything. So she rebuilt, this time with 5 lead sources: LinkedIn, inbound SEO, YouTube, cold email, and referrals. If one channel dies, she doesn't even blink. That's what a moat looks like. Or take Sam. He sells an online course. Most people would stop there. But he built a private community, then added monthly coaching, then merch, then a podcast that drives traffic too. All of it. He turned a single product into an ecosystem. That's why he's in the 1%. And here's the twist. None of these people are geniuses. They just think differently. While the 95% are trying to go viral or get rich quick, the 1% are obsessing over operations, systems, retention, margins, hiring. They treat their business like a living thing, something that grows, evolves, and outlives them. You want to know why most people fail? It's not because they suck. It's because they think the game ends after launch. But the 1%? They know launch is just level 1. The real game is what happens after. The 1% don't get addicted to starting. They get addicted to optimizing, and if you're still watching this, I need you to hear this loud and clear. Your idea isn't the problem. Your execution is. It's your lack of testing, your fear of sales, your obsession with perfection. That's what's holding you back. But that's the good news, because that means you can change it, right? No, you don't need millions. You don't need a team. You don't need investors. You need validation. You need to test your offer, get it in front of real people, and stop building castles in your head. Because the truth is brutal. Your business doesn't fail when you run out of money. It fails when you run out of truth. The 1% lives in truth. The 95% lives in fantasy. And the difference between a dreamer and a founder, one launches, the other learns. So if you want to stop being part of the 95%, then stop thinking. Like one, stop chasing perfect logos and pretty websites. Start solving ugly, annoying, painful problems. Talk to customers. Validate before you build. Build systems before you scale. Take ownership before you blame. You don't need to be brilliant, you just need to be honest with yourself and with your audience. And the moment you do that, that's the moment you join the 1%.